Hey guys, welcome back. Why would anybody in their right mind or in their wrong mind pledge their allegiance to an entity or a corporation? You ever think about that? Where the entity, the corporation, has been stealing from them and cheating them and using their credit to make money off of them their entire life. Now, this is purely for educational and informational purposes only. You have to use your own brain, and sometimes this is the hardest or the most difficult work to do in our lives, which is to think, right, and to do our own research. So I just wanted to say that knowing terms and terminology, right, is very important, right? And even when talking about people changing their status and things like this, because how I see it, a person isn't really changing their status. They are really just declaring who they are. They're not letting the government or a corporation or a business tell them who they are. No, we're telling them who we are, right? And so I was looking up some things here. I'll show you here on Cornell law, right? And if you go in here and go to the United States, because people don't think this is a thing, and some people might, but if you can see that, it says that under 28 USC 3002, 15, the United States means a federal corporation. Now they also put a B in there. An agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of the United States. Or C, an instrumentality of the United States. So anyway, the first one right there, the first one, a federal corporation, the United States, right? And yet we've been thinking all along that, oh, the U.S. or the United States of America, right, is a country. But even if a nation or whatever they want to call themselves, right, why would anybody in their right mind pledge allegiance to anyone other than God? Pledge their allegiance to anyone, a person or an entity, a fictitious entity, or even a real person. Why would anybody want to do that? And so these are some things to ask yourself when, as you're going about and you're doing your research on your change of status and the different declarations and things that you hear on, online on the internet about people going from being a U.S. citizen, U.S. federal citizen, which really means you don't have any rights, right? Rights are very limited there. You want to say even under the 14th Amendment, because the 14th Amendment really is, they said it's a declaration, right? So basically, as if they were doing a favor, said that, hey, no longer can black folks, no longer can melanin folks be, people can't have them as slaves, right? But it didn't free the colored person, right? It didn't free the person of melanin skin. It didn't free those people, right? It doesn't free us. In actuality, what happened, I believe in 1933, was that the government instituted the Social Security, the birth certificate, and all that, where unconscionably we entered into a contract. Our parents entered us into a contract unconscionably, right? And so, but when you go and you look up these different things on Google and things like that, they're not always going to tell you, right, that the information that they put out there isn't always correct, right? And because of legal purposes and because of their bottom line, they're not going to reveal certain things. And even on this word, unconscionable, right? So I wanted to show you another spot where I asked Google, why doesn't Google talk about unconscionable contracts? Look what Google said. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll read it to you. Google says, like any large corporation, is not inherently inclined to openly discuss how its business practices might lead to unconscionable contracts or unfair terms. Here's why. Profit and risk. Unconscionable contracts can be a legal liability, and discussions about them could paint a negative image of Google, potentially harming its brand and bottom line. Control and transparency. By not explicitly addressing the concept of unconscionable contracts, Google can maintain a level of control over how its terms are perceived and discussed. It can also avoid transparency regarding potential unfair practices. Then it goes on to legal and political considerations. Openly acknowledging the possibility of unconscionable contracts could invite legal challenges and regulatory scrutiny. Perceived weakness. Acknowledging a potential for unconscionable practices could be interpreted as weakness, making Google more vulnerable to lawsuits and negative press. While unconscionability is a legal concept, it often arises within the context of individual lawsuits, legal disputes. Google is less likely to discuss these issues proactively, right? So they mention in there about their bottom line. So just something to keep in mind, guys, in your pursuit for freedom, right? In your pursuit for true freedom, the Bible says that it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Freedom on the inside, freedom spiritually, and freedom on the outside to move freely on this earth. So in your quest for, finding out what's really going on in America, with the U.S., with the terms like U.S. citizen, United States citizen, and nationals, and things like that. Do your due diligence, do your own research, and until next time, guys, great grace and plenty of peace.